What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Imperfect Swing Golf Podcast. We have our first second-time guest, Linn Grant. Linn, thanks for making some time. It's only yesterday that you were picking up the Joburg Ladies Open Trophy. I know you don't like the question, how does it feel to win? But you did win with your father on the bag. How was that?
Nice feeling, just to winning is always strange somehow, but kind of to have someone there to support you and hug you afterwards and kind of be able to talk about the things you can't talk with anyone else about, shots or just feelings, or you don't want to sound too much sometimes.
Yeah, I think it's always a weird one, like with especially being so young, having parents involved in your golf game. Like you always see the 15-year-old top amateur with their parents on their bag, and it's always like it can either go really well or it can go completely sideways. And I suppose for you, there's obviously a connection that benefits your game as well. How's that on-course relationship with your pops?
He played a lot of golf himself, so he kind of knows being on the other side, how that is. And I think ever since he started caddying for me on like bigger amateur events, we've been very, I would say, clear with each other that we try to keep it like player caddy on the golf course and daughter father outside of the golf course, which is, I think for my part, sometimes tougher than for him, because he always wants to help me, but and sometimes like he can't guess what I'm thinking, right? And sometimes I just feel like he should know what I'm thinking by now, by these years, but he doesn't. So I think every caddy has to take some hits. Sometimes it hurts maybe a little bit more when you have a relationship, though. But yeah.
And I mean, winning an LET event, you've obviously won twice this year on the Sunshine Ladies Tour. This is now 3 and 4 starts for you. Was there that expectation on yourself to perform well in these 2 events, knowing that you also stayed? You didn't go back home after Jabra. You kind of stayed home and prepped. Is that something for you, like expectation, or do you just know that you have your process, and as long as you stick to your process, that's it?
That's a tough question. I feel like I think I said this in the last interview. Like for me, I know my game, right, and I know what I'm capable of doing. So when I came down to play on the Sunshine Tour, in my mind, without really knowing anyone, my mindset was that I'm going to go down and win. I didn't say I'm going to win everything, but that's kind of the how I walked into it. And then I've always done every tournament like that. Like, I'm here because I'm good enough, and if I'm good enough to be here, then I'm good enough to win. So then I always go in with the mindset that I'm here to win, regardless if it's last week or US Open or whatever it is. Just because I feel like if I play my best, I'm capable of winning. So why shouldn't I?
And with your, 2 weeks? I feel like, or 3 weeks. It was like 3 week, 3 week gap between Jabra and Joburg. Mm-hmm. Did you work on anything specific that you maybe found in the first 3 weeks that you needed to sharpen up on, or did you work on anything too specific, or was it just general
Nothing
sharpening?
Like short term, like looking at the tournaments on the Sunshine Tour coming up to LT, nothing like short term, but still continue to do all the things that I worked on before. So like a lot of wedges. I did some technique with my chipping to kind of get without hitting the low sharp shots, kind of get the ball higher, which would also help me with the grass over here, just like different from home. So just those kind of specific 2 things.
With that, that low sharp kind of chip shot, are you using more, I don't want to get too technical, but are you using more bounce? Is that kind of
now?
Yeah.
So because let's see, because without getting too technical, because in my wedges I try to hit the ball more penetrated, like lower.
Yeah.
So I've been working on that for half a year.
Okay.
Which, when I turn the club like back in my swing, it's a little bit closed.
Okay.
So that kind of went over to chipping. So when I was chipping, the club face was a little too close. So I just tried to like work on getting it more open in my takeaway.
Yeah.
Which is a very strange feeling, but it's been okay.
And we were talking now about one of your latest kind of swing, call it a swing aid.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, talk us through how you've implemented that into your game and how it actually works.
So it's called the Wiz Golf, if anyone wants to check it.
Influencer.
Right. Use the code. But so I started a wedge project with my coach at home. And what I wanted to do was to kind of get like solid numbers with the length of my swing. So kind of to have 3 lengths of my swing and know that with a 60 my half swing goes a certain number, and then with every club, every swing. And we were using Trackmans, and then I knew about this watch, but I didn't know exactly what it was. So I had a friend who used it, and I reached out to the coach, because he's actually a coach at one of the courses in Sweden, and I asked him if I could come and try it out, and it has exactly what I needed it to have, because it measures. So I put it on my wrist, and it measures how far I take back my arm. So then I knew if my half swing is 90 centimeters, my 3/4 is 110 centimeters, and my full swing is 130. And from there, I could just switch clubs, see what tempo, and it was so easy. So from there, now whenever I feel like, okay, it's 80 meters, okay, I could either hit my 60 with a full swing, my 54 with a 3/4 swing, or my 50 with a half swing. So, and it's perfect. Like everything works out so great. It's like, it's so pure. It's like I'm so satisfied whenever I figure out like, okay, my 60 with 90 centimeters goes 60 meters. So with my 60, the numbers add up.
Yeah.
If I use my 54, it's X plus 10.
I see.
And then X plus 20, and with my pitch, it's X plus 30.
I see.
Super pure.
So, and we were just talking about Trackman now. So has this also kind of eliminated that need for getting a Trackman in a sense as well? Like, how have you used this? Because I think being as well, like seeing with the DP World Tour being here for the previous 2 weeks before Joburg Ladies, how pivotal like a Trackman and a GC quad is now in the game, where it's kind of talking like, for instance, a Richard Bland knows that if his swing is kind of similar, like that position with that club at that speed, it's going to produce X distance.
Yeah.
So you've somehow got that kind of, but with not too much interference with, because Trackman has a lot of numbers.
Yeah. So let's see. So from the beginning, like I've always been like a feel player.
Yeah.
So to me, going through high school where we used a lot of Trackmans, during a winter when you're indoors and all you do is like hit into a net, a Trackman is great. But for me, when I came out that spring, I was so into like knowing where my path was, what my face club was, like everything. And if that wasn't where I wanted it to be, then I was like, what is going on? Like I need to change something, right? And I didn't even think about what the ball was doing.
Yeah.
So after that spring, I was like, I can't do this because I don't have a Trackman and I don't want to be dependent on a Trackman. So I just skipped working with it for a while, and then sometimes because in college we had them, so I just walk in there and I check a couple of things that I feel like I need, but then I spend 10 minutes there and then I walk out because I don't want to.
You don't want to get sucked into that vortex of like numbers.
Right. And I feel like the Wiz watch, sure it's numbers, but it's still, it measures what I do with my hand.
And you feel it. Like,
not what my club is doing.
Yeah.
Because those two are very different.
Yeah.
But I use them at home when I'm indoors. Because obviously I don't,
can't
using
really
a simulator, you don't see
happening.
anything.
Yeah.
So, but even there, I try to like, if I do technique, I'll check it out like once every week, and then I just leave it.
Okay, well, that makes sense. I think, like when you choose what numbers you want to see, I mean, you have a selection of like 40 numbers to choose from. It's like, what do you really need? I think at your level, there's probably only 4 numbers you're really looking at. I mean, so it is interesting to see how important it's become to many players' lives. But at the same time, it's also detrimental to some because it's like, oh.
Yeah, and I mean, you don't use it on the golf course. So I would feel, what I felt that spring was kind of like, if I was out on the golf course and I hit a bad shot, now I know what I'm doing because I have to figure it out,
exactly.
right? But back then I was like, what are my numbers? Give me my numbers.
What is the club path?
Right. So, yeah.
Okay. With us being in Cape Town, you've obviously been here, so you know what it's like to play here. So coming from Joburg up to Cape Town, what changes number-wise, like yardage, meters? Because, like, I mean, I've played and I've caddied up here. There's obviously a massive difference in numbers. So what changes? Do you go straight yards from meters to yards, or do you add like a percentage?
Right. I didn't even like think of that before I talked to Cara about it.
Okay.
And she was like, yeah, I'm usually yards, but here I'm meters. And when we were in Joburg. And I was like, well, that's smart.
Yeah, exactly. Like instead of taking the meters and minusing a percent.
Right. She just, here now everything is like normal, right?
Okay.
Compared to Sweden in the summer day. So when we got to Joburg, I try to think, especially when we play Glendower, that in the morning it was like 5 meters, like I hit the clubs 5 meters longer.
Yeah.
During midday it was 10, and in the afternoon almost 15.
Okay. Which
is a little. I mean, even now when we played, there was a couple holes where you're standing, you have a rough lie, and I was like, well, I could just hit my wedge really hard. I think we were on one hole, it was 129 meters. It's like, I could hit a soft 9, but I'll just hit a hard pitch, and it would probably come out short. And he carries 11 meters past. And I'm just like, this is not even human. I mean, not in my body with my swing with these clubs. Like, what the hell happened? Like, so you can the only thing you can do is just laugh at it because you're like, I hit it good and I
started on your line.
Right, but it just didn't come out the way I thought it would. So, but that's kind of what I tried to do. But again, and then you pull it a little bit, and instead of it being 5 meters longer than usual, it's like 15.
Yeah, exactly.
So
I think it's always like South Africa playing Joburg and then coming to Cape Town is such a big difference. Like also just like the depth perception looks so different. I don't know, for me it looks
I bet it does because whenever we stood on a hole last week, we're like, it looks so long.
Yeah.
But I will reach it.
Yeah. It's like you gotta convince yourself. Right. Like, no, you're okay.
Especially on like 13, the par 5 over the water.
Yes.
Where like I need to carry the water, but I'm taking one club less than I should, and it looks really long.
Yeah.
But I will make it. It will be okay.
So is that where your pops comes in handy and just assures you like this is the right club? Like.
Not always. So I feel like he is just, whenever I'm confused, he's also very confused. Okay. So it's not.
I suppose because you're coming from the same place.
Right. Right. But we don't like. It's not as if when I'm lost, he's not lost. It's like when I'm lost, he's lost too. So we're both
lost
like
together.
Searching in the dark after something. And yeah, I mean, sometimes he says something and I trust him and it's wrong, and then I'm like, why did I trust him? Right? Why don't I just listen to myself because I know myself better? Sometimes I'm wrong, and then I'm like,
should have listened to him.
I should not.
But you don't say that.
You don't say that.
You just keep quiet. You're like,
It's probably the best decision. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but it is hard. I mean, but sure, sometimes he helps me out.
Save on the last day.
Just to like end it on a good note.
But I mean, last week was massive for you, not just the win. You officially part of the Adidas golf stable now. How was that for you to receive that? I mean, you obviously been a part of the family for a while. It's not like it just happened last week, but to get that kind of out there, did that also just give you that bit of confidence, I guess, like to know that a brand like Adidas supports you?
Right. Yeah. I mean, I guess when I signed with them, I love Adidas and all their stuff and everything. And I think when I signed with them, I was like thinking that they would like say something, but then of course they have like everything planned, so they want to do it whenever it suits everything, of course. But I didn't know that. So I was like, why isn't everyone like saying anything? Yeah. But then they did, which is very nice.
I guess perfect timing though.
Yeah, like, it was. I mean, for both me and them.
Yeah.
I think.
Just to be clear.
Just to be clear. No, but no, it was just nice to have their support, like branding, and just have their. Whenever I do something good, I get their texts and everything, and like congrats, and it's just nice to have another support system, kind of more people that cheers for you. It's always nice.
And you also with Ping as well. They're quite big in the women's game, so it's also nice to have that kind of like a brand that supports women's golf beyond just performative.
Right.
I'm not saying anything to any brands, but like there's a bit more like intent behind Ping. Yeah. Like I feel like there's a different logo. It's not the same logo as the men's.
Right.
It's like,
I think they're very like they've always been like a family-based brand in a lot of things that they do, and so I think for them, like if you think of a family, quality is very important. Yeah. So I think that's kind of how they work.
It's very tough to get a deal with Ping, I must say. Like you don't see, it's not something you've seen in abundance. Like other brands.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I mean, I'm the worst. I don't know anything about this, but you're probably right. No, but I don't know if I said that in the last interview, but I've always been Ping. I don't think I've had different putters or drivers maybe, but otherwise I've always been Ping.
And with you have the support base now, you also secured your LPGA status, not necessarily a full exemption card. Does the win give you a bit more freedom now that you have your 2 year, I think it's 2 years with LET?
Right.
Does that give you a bit more freedom going over there and playing even Epson Tour and some LPGA as well?
Not necessarily, no. Because that wasn't really the thing for me. I really like the LET more and more. The more I play it, the more I like it. And I thought coming out of college, I would be like, I want to be in the US, I want to play there, I want to live there. And then after college, I was a little bit like, I'm not so sure anymore. Not saying that I'm not going there anytime, but just I feel like for my first pro year, just like being around like a nice tour. I know everyone, almost. Like I know the players. Played amateur golf with a bunch of them, and it's just nice also being on a tour that is like, even though the LPGA is constantly growing, the LET wants to do that as well, and just kind of for me to be here, but also kind of to help out a little bit. It's just nice to be somewhere where you're a part of the growth.
I see. Oh, that makes sense. Makes sense. With the way things have gone the last 3 months, going forward, is there any, how can I phrase this? Like, is this just... Did you know this was coming? I guess that's the question. Like it's difficult to answer that without like sounding a little like arrogant or anything like that. But was there something that clicks, that you know, like your game, like you said, you know your game, right? But was there that moment where you just knew?
No, I think, well, not like recently.
Yeah.
I would say not saying like 5 years ago I knew I was gonna win on the LT. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that when it clicks, it's not now. It's like in the past. That's what I'm saying. Like, I know my game, so I know that I win on the LTs and like should be there. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. No, I get what you're saying.
And like you're saying, it could sound really like arrogant, but then I also feel like whatever work you do, if it's sports or you're a business person, whatever, if you don't have high goals and like high expectations, then you're not going to get there.
No, exactly.
So in my mind, of course, this week I'm thinking, why not take another one? Of course I'm going to think that. Because why would I be here otherwise? I could have gone back to Sweden and celebrated last week with my mom.
Exactly.
So of course that's what you're going to do. And I think that click moment kind of came... It's different times. I mean, depending on what it is. But a couple years ago, it's just that, depending on what it is, but just that feeling when you know that, oh, now I got it. Like, now I know.
How much of it is mental versus like technical?
I feel the click for me, at least, is just mental.
Okay. Yeah. Because I can like, I mean, after our first chat, like, there's something different with the way you talk.
Mm-hmm.
It's different. Like, you speak to a different player and they'll be like, you know, this is... It's almost like they doubt themselves with their speech.
Right.
But with you, it's like you trust yourself fully before... Right. Like, there's no doubt.
Yeah, no.
I know. Is that? But I mean, that's what it is, right? Like,
well, I have to be that way. Otherwise, I wouldn't. I mean, it's like I told my dad. We were sitting having lunch now, and then I was talking about things that people do. It could be like you have a tics or something. Like, you do something that is not helping you.
Yeah.
To me, if you know that's not helping you, why are you doing that? But it's the same thing the other way. If I know that I think that I'm gonna win, then of course I'm gonna think that I'm gonna win.
Yeah.
If I know that if I walk into this tournament thinking, okay, what am I gonna say in my speech when I win? Of course that's gonna be a little bit closer to me. So I mean, it could sound arrogant.
But there's realism in there.
But if you know, you know, right?
I mean,
everyone is talking about New Year's affirmations right now.
Yeah.
You're supposed to like write down or tell yourself all these things that you wanna, like all your goals for this year. It's the same thing.
You gotta
tell yourself. You gotta tell your friends. I think ever since I was young, I've always said I'm gonna be a professional golfer. I'm gonna play in the LPGA. I'm gonna win majors. You know, if you don't tell yourself that, then how are you gonna believe that's gonna happen?
Real talk with Linn Grant. Write it down, kids. Write it down. Tell your friends and family.
And I'm not saying that I'm better than anyone else at this, but if
100%.
People just knew that you actually become what you think.
Yeah.
Just think of what you want and you'll have it. My mom has, and I thank my mom for this, because she always tells me that I should send out my wishes to the universe. Yeah. And the universe will catch them, and you know, if I deserve them, I'll get them.
They'll materialize.
So far, so good, right? They work.
I think you're on the right track.
But yeah, she's so yeah.
Was that also special for her to see you and your pops kind of win together?
Yeah, of course. I mean, she, like you're saying, like I talk in a different way and I believe what I'm saying, kind of.
Yeah.
And I think that sometimes she laughs at me because sometimes when I play a tournament, she's like, "Are you gonna win this week?" And I'm like, "Yeah." She's like, "Ha."
But you like?
I'm like,
I'm not
why?
joking.
You asked me, and I said yes.
Yeah.
That's why I'm here. I'm here to win. And I'm like, if that doesn't happen, fine. I mean, golf is the game of losers, right?
Yeah.
Of course, I'm not going to win every week, but
I mean, you almost
75%,
but yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah. Could be better. Could be better.
No, just Jin Young Ko now on the LPGA with her
record of
16 rounds under 70.
Yeah.
And she got asked, "Is this your best golf or something?" She's like, "Not yet. I'm not
yeah.
done." Like, what are you talking about? Not yet. Are you kidding me?
She's
I just
like,
three-putted this
yeah,
hole.
exactly. I've left like 5 shots out there.
Oh, so I mean that's golf in a nutshell, right? You're never satisfied.
You're never done.
No.
And lastly, going into this week, you've played the course while you were here on break. What can we expect from the course? Like, what's your thoughts on it? Long, short, wind dependent, I guess, in Cape Town.
Right. I mean, I think the wind's going to be up if it's
but I mean, like this is perfect.
We're
recording a podcast outside in Cape Town. That's quite...
We're not going to do that the next 4 days. I'm not sure how long they'll play it. We played both from the back tees and the men's tees when we were here. So maybe we played it a little bit longer. Especially with the wind, I think. But I think it will be interesting. The greens was really nice when I was here, and I think they'll make them a little bit more firm. Could be more, I mean, coming from Waterfontein when everything just stopped wherever it carried, I don't think that's the case here. You're going to have to step it back and figure out how long the bounces are going to be and all that, especially if there's going to be wind. So it will be whoever's good at just switching.
There'll be, well, I mean, we ended the first podcast off with saying, I feel like we'll be doing a few of these.
If I'm coming back to
so I guess, I'll just say it again, I guess we'll be doing a few of these in the future. But thanks for sharing that insight. I recommended so many younger golfers to listen to it, just because I feel if they can pick up on what utilizing and putting into the real world, they can get the best out of their golf game. I think we get in our way so much. I mean, I would know. You just got to believe in yourself, right? I mean, that's...
Yeah, in everything.
You got to be your biggest supporter.
Right, and if it's not golf, in life.
Yeah.
Right?
How to make $1 million. Linn Grant. Then thanks so much.
Thank you.
All the best this week, and we'll chat soon.
We will.